Hey, what's up, guys? It's Dave Greathouse
Josh Antone.
with the Greathouse Team and Remax above and beyond here in Cleveland. And we get a lot of calls from you guys on how you should be running the numbers on your rental properties. Well, today we're on location in Lakewood. We're going to take a look at this duplex behind us, and we're going to dissect this deal for you.
Let's go, baby.
All right, so if you're out of state, you're investing in Cleveland, you might think, well, do I have to fly all the way to Cleveland to see the properties? And the answer to that is no. We'll actually do this for you, and we're going to show you kind of how we're going to view the properties for you. So let's take a look. This is a very typical up and down unit in Lakewood, right? Lakewood's a very safe area for you investors out there, very safe. You're always going to have good renters, and it's just an excellent neighborhood. But this is a very typical layout, right? This is the upstairs of this particular unit, hardwood floors, which is almost in every single one of these houses. This one in particular has updated windows, which is good. Sometimes we'll see older windows. This one actually has a fireplace, which I believe is actually a gas hookup. And then as you go into the dining room, this is a very traditional Lakewood layout. You'll see that they painted the hardwood floors. You could always sand that down and bring them back to their original. But you typically are going to have this dining room, and it just adds to the square footage here of these units, along with the window seat. A lot of times these have built-in storage. You can see them in this one. Really cool features. These homes are about 100 years old, so really, really cool built-in features. As you follow me into the kitchen, this one's actually been a little bit updated, and you can see new flooring, some new backsplash, nice new appliances. This one has one of these kind of not real dishwashers, but you roll it up to the sink and do your dishes that way. You're not going to see a lot of dishwashers typically in some of these older houses. But newer countertops, nice good sized kitchen to be honest with you. And then off to the back you have your back porch and access to the attic, which will take you upstairs here in a little bit. But this is a very typical layout. And then you have your 2 bedrooms and baths in the hallway. Very typical size for a bedroom in our multifamilies here in Cleveland, specifically in Lakewood. I would estimate this to be about maybe 10 by 10. Not huge, definitely for the time that this house was built, this was pretty standard. Another thing too about these older houses is lack of closets. These are about the size of the closets you're going to get in a home of this age. But again, on this one, nice hardwood floors, newer windows. We'll show you the bathroom and the other bedroom. You also have some built-in linen closets here in the hallway. This is a nice updated bathroom, to be honest with you. See the newer floors in there. Looks like a newer vanity. And then the second bedroom in here. Again, very similar size as to the other bedroom that we just saw. Same size closet as well. So this is a pretty typical, listen, I'm 6'4". This is a pretty high ceiling as well. This is an older house, but really nice high ceilings. A lot of times you'll see these upstairs actually have carpet. That's because they want it to be a little bit quieter for the downstairs neighbor. This one does not. So a lot of times you can get more for the upstairs unit because of that. This one, like I said, is vacant. The downstairs actually has a tenant in it, so we won't be able to see that one today. But very typical tour for a Lakewood duplex.
So what we love about Lakewood are these front porches. They're fantastic. As you can see, you'll always see people out here when the weather's good, of course, sitting outside enjoying the day. We're so close to so many amenities. It's not uncommon to see people sitting out on these porches. But one thing we want to keep in mind here as we're looking and assessing them is kind of the structure and the stability of this, right? If you're going to have you, your kids out here or anything, you want to make sure it's safe. So we're kind of bouncing around. Got a school bus there, just kind of feeling it out. You know, we're assessing and looking at things. We got some flaking paint here, not a huge deal. We kind of check and make sure that this is just safe and secure. Trying to assess what you're going to need to put in day one. Great thing is this is vinyl sided though, so huge plus. All right, so we're here in the basement. Arguably the most important piece of the puzzle is assessing the structure, the foundation of the home. So one thing that we do that's I think sets us apart and makes us a team that you'll want to work with when you're assessing the value of these homes is walking around understanding the intricate pieces to the puzzle, right? So we're going to be looking at the major mechanicals. We're obviously looking for water, foundation issues, anything and everything that could be a potential hazard and obviously a cost for you. So as I'm assessing, I'm looking for any major cracking, bowing of the walls. This is a very typical Lakewood foundation. So what we will do is I have a little moisture meter here. Now I'll preface this with I'm not a home inspector, although I've taken the test. This is simply for my own knowledge, so I can kind of prepare you. But we can just run this thing here. Now, as you can see, that thing is blaring up there, right? That's pretty high. Now, we will get a lot of water that will pour in here. We're on the driveway side. So not uncommon to have moisture behind the wall. Now we're looking and we're seeing, okay, do we have where when it might be seeping in, right? I'm not seeing any evidence of that here. It's a little musty down here. You don't have a dehumidifier running. That's pretty common. So something we'll want to further analyze. Does it need waterproofed? If you're not going to finish it, probably not. But a couple things to notice here. We've got a metal I-beam supporting this side. We've got two posts. Now the main support is here in the middle, supported by large beams, and it's wood and it's massive. So what I'm looking for is any major bowing or dipping, anything that's going to lead us to structural problems where the floors are going to be unlevel and settling. This wood, from what I can see here, appears to be really well installed and in great shape. So I'm pleased with that. So another big piece of this is your furnace, hot water tank. I can see here in this basement we have two separate units for each unit. So we've got an older furnace here without knowing the exact date, because typically they don't. This thing's probably 20, 25 years old. So from a lifespan standpoint, it's probably at the end. You could probably get a few more years out of it. Water tanks, we can generally get a date on here, and this is a 2014, so that's pretty good. Appears to be in good working order. We don't have any corrosion around the pipes or anything, so I would say that's pretty fair. And that's very similar units to the others over there. Now, electrical. Now, of course, we can't just tear these things apart, but what we can do is assess the panels. Do we have any breakers that are discontinued, fire hazard? I'm not seeing anything here. We've got a sub panel. We're on breakers. This is for the down unit. This is for the up unit. I'm seeing some updated Romex, some older braided. Not necessarily a bad thing. It appears to be well installed. We've got some knob and tube active here if you want to catch that. That's very common as well. But to me, on first glance, everything appears to be in pretty good working order. Now we're just going to kind of walk the perimeter here. Look for any areas of water intrusion, anything that's sort of standing out. We've got a little bit of a staining here, which, may or may not be from the outside, or it could be something from the inside. I don't love this. We've got a support beam here held up by two loose bricks. Any inspector is going to say that's not how you would do that. Now, pretty simple from a fix standpoint, but definitely something that any good inspector is gonna find. We've got our main waste stack here. You can see that they've booted it with PVC. Still some cast iron here, so this would definitely be something that we would want to continue to monitor. I do see some upgraded plumbing here and here. So my assessment would be it looks like they've taken care of some of the areas that over time come up, probably emergencies that they've fixed. So I see a lot of upgrades here, some definite things that I would want to continue to assess. But as far as Lakewood goes, very common, very typical. I would say this is a positive assessment from our vantage point.
All right, so we took a look at that house yesterday in Lakewood, and we are back in the lab today to discuss the actual details of it because we were able to get that thing under contract. So let's talk about the purchase price. This house was listed at $299 in Lakewood, and it had multiple offers on it. We were able to negotiate a little bit with the list agent. We were an all-cash offer, so that certainly helped. And we were able to get that house for $304,000. So we are currently under contract at 304. Now, because it's a cash purchase, your closing costs are going to be a little bit lower, right? You're not paying things like lender fees, appraisals, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to estimate right around 1,500 for the closing fees. Now, for the rental income, this is huge, right? You want to be able to determine what kind of cash you're going to get out of your units. So we use things like Rentometer, but certainly we've also had experience in this area with other renters, so we know kind of the numbers are going to shake out for you. We think you could probably get about 1,500 aside, but for this exercise, we're going to be pretty conservative. We're going to estimate $1,400 for the down unit and $1,400 for the top unit. So that's $2,800 in rental income every single month. Now, property tax, there's not much you can do for that. The property tax ended up being, I think, right around $5,800 a year. So let's just say $5,800 for taxes for the year. It's a little bit higher in Lakewood than if you're looking in Cleveland or some of the other areas like that. So Lakewood's one of the higher taxes in Cuyahoga County. For insurance, we're going to basically just estimate this about $100 a month. I know Josh's property is very similar to this, and his is right around that same amount. So $1,200 for the year for insurance. Now, maintenance. What is maintenance? Maintenance is obviously little ongoing projects. These are older houses. We recommend you at least save about 5% of your rental income every single month to go towards maintenance. And this turns out to be right around, I think, $140 a month for maintenance. Capital expenditures are your bigger projects. Roofs, furnaces, things of that nature that are going to be much bigger in terms of an expense. And this house is 100 years old, right? So we're going to estimate right around 7% of the monthly income for capital expenditures, or right around almost $200 a month. I think it's $196. Vacancy, certainly you're never going to have, I shouldn't say never, but it's very unlikely you're going to have both units rented at the same time forever, right? You're going to have times when somebody moves out, maybe a month or two, you're trying to find a new tenant, but this is an awesome location in Lakewood. You shouldn't have any issues finding renters for this house. So we're going to just shoot for 5% vacancy. Again, another $140 a month. Last but not least, property management, right? If you're out of state, out of country, you're not familiar with Cleveland, you're not living here, you may want to consider a property manager. Something like this, you're probably going to pay about $250 a month. It's a duplex. Some property managers might be a little bit less, a little bit more. We're going to estimate $250 for this particular unit. It's right around 9% of your rental income. So there's the numbers on this one. I'm anxious to see kind of how it shakes out. Is this going to be a good deal or not? Let's find out. Numbers real quick. And this is a really cool tool that we use. Some of you may or may not be familiar with the company Bigger Pockets. This is an excellent website if you are interested in real estate investing to get a lot of data and info from really cool forums. But we're pro members over at Bigger Pockets, and so this is just one of the tools that we have. You can dissect your own data in any kind of spreadsheet you have, but this is one we'll use today, and it's something that we can use for future deals with you guys as well. Just to kind of give you a quick overview again, the rental income here, we have it at $2,800 a month. That's $1,400 aside. And then the expenses, as we broke those out, your property taxes, your insurance, your maintenance expenditures, property management, all of that came out to about $1,316 per month. Now, as we scroll down, you can kind of see the breakdown of the expenses. And obviously the big ones are your variable ones, your taxes, property management, things of that nature. Now, we don't have anything for your utilities. Most landlords in Cleveland are typically responsible for water and sewer, but we typically try to help investors either write that into a lease or bill them directly for that. So that way you're not paying those bills out of your profits. And another cool thing is you scroll down here, you can see some of the different returns, some of the different investor rules. But this is really cool here. It kind of gives you a breakdown of year 1 through year 30 of ownership in this property. And some of you may or may not be thinking about 30 years down the line, but it's really interesting to see as you get further and further in holding this property, how much money you actually build, how much equity you have and your profit if you were to sell this. But even look here at year 5. I mean, year 5, obviously you're paying, this one is a cash deal, so you don't owe anything on it. You're getting rent every single month. But look, even at like year 5, your profit, $125,000 if you sold it in year 5. So, and this is just kind of, I guess, a standard appreciation. Lakewood, as we mentioned earlier, is one of the safer neighborhoods you can buy in. Typically, you're going to have, I would say, better than average returns on appreciation of your property values here in Lakewood. So as we scroll up here, you can see some of the numbers again. But our monthly cash on cash, if you will, about $1,484 per month, and your cash on cash return of 5.83%. So there. All right, there you have it. Sort of the numbers dissecting this particular deal for this Lakewood duplex. And overall, I think when you look at this, the numbers tell a story, right? It is a fairly good investment. It's not maybe one that's going to wow you and say, oh, I'm getting 10% cash on cash every single month. That's maybe not the case here. But I think with any deal, you need to talk to your agent and find out, hey, what's the long-term success here, right? This is a neighborhood in Lakewood that is extremely safe from an investment standpoint. You are always going to have a lot of renters interested in renting this place. You'll get long-term renters. This location is so centrally located in downtown Lakewood. You can walk to so many different things here. You're never going to have a hard time renting this place or selling this place down the road if that's what you decide to do. So for those reasons, you really can't, you can't say it's a good deal or bad deal just based on numbers. Sometimes you need to take that into consideration when you're purchasing a property. And that's the kind of conversations we're going to have with you. We're going to go through every single one of these deals with you in detail by the numbers. And also just kind of give you an idea for what we think, if it's a good deal or not. And this one, we feel really, really strongly about. But let us know, what do you think in the comments down below? Is this a good deal? Is this maybe not a good deal? Why or why not? Let us know in the comments section below. As always, our information will be in the description box below as well. And you can reach out to us directly when you are ready to buy or sell your great house.